Welcome to the Arts and Antique Radio Show, where your host, nationally recognized certified appraiser Elizabeth Stewart, Santa Barbara's treasure sleuth, will help you put a value on the treasures in your own home.
Every time it rains pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven?
So let's find out.
In
How
three,
valuable
two,
is it?
1, you're live.
Hello, 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 Santa Barbara. It's your chantress of everything valuable and beautiful, Elizabeth Stewart. And I thought today, Richard, that I would talk to you about a little poll that I did. I thought I'd do sort of a blanket email to a bunch of artists from various art clubs here on the Central Coast. And I asked them, what objects do you have that you would gift to another artist? So it's in essence what this show is all about, Richard, is I thought I would share with listeners what if there's an artist in the family or anybody who's visually talented. I've got some great gift ideas for Christmas, for the holidays, for these artist friends in your family. So are you ready for this?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. So I want to start off by saying that there's two parts to this. One is that some of these things are really, really practical, and some of these things you may not know what they are. And Richard, I encourage you to ask me, what is gouache, for example, and things like this as we go down this list.
Okay.
And the first thing I want to talk about is there's a lot of museums and arts organizations across the country have kind of picked up on this idea of the gift shop. And the gift shop's gone online, notably, Museum of Modern Art has a great online gift shop, and so does LACMA, and the Met has a great online gift shop. And so at one of the gift shops there's a Vincent van Gogh palette ornament for your tree. It's very cool. But the other really interesting ornament that I found looking around the various well, some of them aren't so little, but large gift shops attached to museums, there's an ornament that is a banana that's taped to a wall that's framed. And it's in blown glass. It's small. It's about 3 by 3. And you may ask me, what the heck is that representing? Well, this is a banana ornament. And the Italian bad boy artist Maurizio Callalad taped last year a 30-cent banana to a museum wall and put a price tag on the banana tape there of $120,000. In 15 minutes, it was purchased. And it's a testament. It's concept art, I guess you could say, but the banana was purchased. And so this little ornament is celebrating the fact that this is a little bit ridiculous, but also a true concept that we will pay for pretty much anything that's on the wall that people think is art. And Cody Foster and Company makes these edgy little ornaments, for example, the banana, and it's literally a banana with tape on it, represented in miniature in a little framed ornament, blown glass. Cody Foster and Company for $22, a banana taped to the wall ornament. So the other interesting thing, I was looking at the Los Angeles Modern auctions and Los Angeles Contemporary Museums, and I thought, okay, this is a really cool idea. LACMA has Golden Age still life Dutch painting colors represented in nail polish. So if you look at Dutch painting, for example, in the 16th century, and you remember those beautiful floral still lifes and the still lifes of beautiful fruit on a crisp white table, uh, LACMA is in conjunction with a jeweler has kind of distilled out the best of the colors. And you can actually go online and buy nail polish in those colors. Kind of cool. Uh, Los Angeles County Museum of Art, LACMA, sells those. They're expensive, but they're really cool. Kind of a cool idea. So, Museum of Modern Art in New York, I love their online shop. I've gotten some really interesting things there, and they are very trendy. They've got Hello Kitty's sister, Miffy. Who's Miffy? Miffy is a little I don't know what you call it, a rabbit. Hello Kitty's a kitty, Miffy's a rabbit, and this particular stuffed animal is crocheted in white. It's a white crocheted stuffed animal. But what's interesting about it is it's dressed in Piet Mondrian, a little Piet Mondrian dress. Do you remember Mondrian, Richard? It's the reds and the yellows and the blacks in straight lines of squares. And this Miffy is dressed in Mondrian colors, and that's available for $40 at the Museum of Modern Art. Then we have at the Lego site as well, a do-it-yourself hokusai image of the Great Wave. Might say, okay, what is that all about? Do you know that Japanese woodcut, the Great Wave? It's a beautiful arching wave that's coming crashing over, and it's oversized, it seems. And Lego has picked it up in a do-it-yourself version, and it's the wood block that you can build that represents the Great Wave in Legos. Now, this particular kit is 1,810 pieces of Legos. And while you're putting it together, you can play the soundtrack of, curated music. So there's a meditative soundtrack that goes with this particular set. And there's illustrated instructions. There's a tile that bears Hokusai's chop, which is his signature. And there's also a frame. And you can frame it and put it on the wall, your representation of the Great Wave, Hokusai's Great Wave from the 18th century in Legos. Okay. If you've got somebody, I would say that this particular kit looks pretty complex to me. So this isn't a kid's thing, Richard. It's an adult thing, and I don't know. I think there are adults that love to play with Legos. I know that. And anyway, this is supposed to be kind of an artistic, relaxing thing. Legos do-it-yourself version of Hokusai's The Great Wave. Yves Klein was a artist that I particularly love because most of the things he did in his mature oeuvre involved a certain deep cobalt blue color. And I love the color. And I love everything that he's painted in that certain blue. But he was a nut, and he used nude models as paintbrushes. He dove off a wall just to bring attention to himself, and he called it performance art. And he died really young. He died at 34, but he was a bad boy in the 60s, 1960s. And there's a website that I found that I thought, gosh, it's really clever. They take artists' opening posters and they make them into T-shirts. And this particular shirt is Yves Klein 1961 exhibit, and it's $16. And the website is called T Public, and you can buy this very interesting announcement of Yves Klein's show in Paris in 1961, and it's in blue. It's in that wonderful blue that Yves Klein loved. how about if you've got a painter in your family or friends, they did watercolors or oils, etc. You know, very famous painters use coffee cans, the old-fashioned coffee cans, to store their paintbrushes. You know, you see this in, for example, Rauschenberg. He often painted his Sanborn coffee can right into the canvases because it was in his studio. And, you know, if he's doing a still life, he painted this coffee can with his paintbrushes all, you know, stuck into the coffee can. But there's a tradition in Japan, which I really thought, gosh, if you're interested in giving an artist something really precious, you might want to look into a really, really beautiful ceramic pot for the brushes. This is a tradition in Japan, as I say, a beautiful brush pot for the artist studio. And sometimes the brush pot will come complete with a matching water bowl, for example, if you're a watercolorist. So this tradition in Japan of making a beautiful statement with a brush pot. There's a really cool one I found, a website called Peace Cabins, and there that the brush pot is beautiful, and you can take a look at it. But any ceramic, handmade ceramic pot for brushes, I think would be beautiful for an artist. And Richard's giving us a sign. We got to go to quick break. And Richard, so far, I'm thinking of getting you the Lego do-it-yourself version of Hokusai's The Great Wave. Do you ever model with Legos, or did you?
I did as a child. I had a blast with Legos, but the precursor to the Lego was Tinker Toys. I love Tinker Toys too, and I was probably 4 or 5 years old. But then, of course, Legos came along, and oh my gosh. Obviously, everybody knows that the worst thing about Legos is if they're on the floor and you step on them, ow, does it hurt?
That's that's very true. They actually kill, don't they? And you step on them, it's just going to happen. I mean,
This is true.
yeah. All right, let's go to quick break, and I've got more ideas. This is a show about what to get for the holidays for artists and artistic people in on your wish list. And these are some ideas of some gifts that you might not have thought of. And I tried hard to ask some of my artist friends from like the Santa Barbara Art Association, the Galita Valley Art Association, for example, you know, what they have treasured as far as who's giving them what that has to do with art. And there's a couple really cool suggestions that I have a little later on in the show for certain types of paints, which I'm considering. You remember Adrian, my ex-husband, who's an artist, and he's been on our show,
Hmm.
Richard.
Hmm.
I'm thinking of gifting Adrian a set of the one particular set of paints that just come out on the market.
There you
So
go.
keep tuned in. We're going to talk about some cool gifts for artists.
All right, you're clear.
Are you doing anything for the holidays, Richard?
I don't know yet, because so we're waiting for word from both the FCC and then from the new owners as to what they're going to do, and just waiting to see, like I said, what's going to happen next. I'm going to try to take Amrita on a drive maybe next Friday or Saturday, since the play will be over this weekend. Take the long drive, semi-long drive up to Cambria for the day, or if we can afford to do it, get a hotel room overnight, Friday night into Saturday. Even though I know that it's the weekend of Christmas and all, we'll see how that works out. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and I'm speaking today about a little poll that I did, asking some of my artist friends and also digging around myself. I've got a lot of artists, friends, and family that I never know what to gift them for Christmas that's under $100. And so I thought, okay, let me look around a little bit. And I got so involved with finding a few things just for the people in my family that I asked some of my friends that are artists to help me and look around and see what they would pick. And so I've got a list today. And if you're listening and you've got artists in the family or friends, these may be some good ideas for little holiday gifts. There's a tradition in art which is called plein air painting. And that is a big thing here in the Central Coast. Artists will take the afternoon, the morning, etc., go out, do a little hike, get lost in nature, sit down and make a painting right then and there. Not necessarily sketch and then take it back to the studio, but sit in plein air, basically, and make a painting. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be a cool gift idea if you've got a plein air artist on your list? How about a really pretty or interesting waterproof cushion? You're sitting sketching or painting for quite a while, a couple of hours, sometimes at a time. How about a beautiful little cushion? And for the plein air artist, something that you find that's colorful and interesting. I looked at a website which I really like called Peace Cabins, and they've got a couple little interesting travel cushions. That's not a beautiful idea for the plein air artist. How about a set of paints? There's a famous paint manufacturer called Holbein, after the artist Hans Holbein. So Holbein makes beautiful paints and has for years made wonderful paints. Holbein's got a new set of paints out called Ioduri. And this is a gouache set. And gouache, you might think, okay, what's gouache? Well, gouache is a deeper pigment than watercolor. So it's less opaque, or it's denser than watercolor. And it can look quite strident in comparison to watercolor. So it's a deeper pigment, deeper color. And Holbein has done 48 colors that are kind of new, and they've divided it into 4 seasonal palettes. So you can buy winter or spring or fall, etc., and summer. And they are based on some traditional watercolors that originated in 15th century Japan. So it's kind of interesting. For example, I looked into the winter hue palette. And the winter hue palette is earthy browns and greens and jewel tones and gold leaf. And this is available on one of my favorite sites to just take a look at for my dear ex-husband who's an artist. I always take a look on Blick, Blick. because it's the premier artist supply website, BLICK. And you can take a look at the Holbein paints on that website. Let's see, that along with paints, you might think about a selection of papers. So let's say you've got an artist in your family. They work with watercolor, or they do oil paint on paper, for example, or they do collage, or they do print work. They do etchings, engravings, etc. You might think about getting a selection of papers. It's very Artists have their favorite papers, that's for sure, but they tend to be creatures of habit and get the same papers over and over. And I'm suggesting get them a sample of the best known artist papers, and they might actually fall in love with a certain type of paper that they haven't used before. My favorite paper company is called Legion, Legion, and they're paper distributors to the art world. And they this year are doing a sampler of their best known artist papers. So you can get 13 9x12 inch pads of different types of high quality papers, and it comes all in one selection for under $100. And to just give you an idea, various papers are the support for various types of pigments. There's a paper called Yupo. It's polypropylene, and water kind of drips off of it, and you get this really interesting effect with pigment on this slick paper. So that's an example. There's another example, paper called Lennox. Lennox is 100% cotton, highly absorbent, real textured. And then there's another type of paper called cold press, and that's got a real texture to it as well. This is a paper called Stonehenge, and you can buy a sampler of the best known artist papers from Legion in that 9x12 size. But you can also buy, if your artist friend works small, you can buy 2.5 and 3 by 3 3/4 size pads. Selection of wonderful pads of paper. That's Legion paper distributors, and it's a sampler of their best known papers. A good idea for an artist. How about something that you don't normally think about, but I sent Adrian a bunch of paint brushes this past Christmas, and he's a watercolor artist, and he likes to paint outside, and he likes to travel and with his paints, etc. Never is without his watercolor brushes. And I'm suggesting, how about a good watercolor brush case or a good oil paint brush case? Well, I say, okay, can't you just roll it up and take a rubber band around your paintbrushes and call it a day? Not really, because when you're painting, for example, and you pack up for the day and you've been painting outside, well, your brush is wet. In many cases, there's still paint on there, etc. So there's a really cool new brush case out on Blick. Again, I love Blick. And it has a vinyl flap over the top so that it protects the wet brushes. And so the vinyl flap goes over the brushes, and it's under $25 on Blick. And it's got that vinyl flap for wet brushes. Great idea. Don't know why someone hasn't thought about that before, but the original brush case, which is beautiful for under $10, also on Blick, is called the Richardson Bamboo Brush Roll-Up. And what that is the tradition is, it goes back to Japan again, where if you've got bamboo, small little segments of bamboo sewn together, and you can roll your brushes in that bamboo, because there's natural airflow, and also it protects against the wet paint brushes as well. Richard's giving a sign. I got to go to quick break. About halfway through my list of ideas that I've culled over this past month some of the presents that you could give an artist or a visual person in your life. And there's a number of really interesting thoughts I have regards types of paint, selections of papers, pretty brush pots, nice paintbrush cases. Um, if you could have the chance to use one website to shop, I would suggest Blick. Blick is a fantastic resource for artist supplies. Okay, Richard, let's go to quick break. When we get back from the break, I'm going to tell you a little bit about a new invention, which is a new type of scissors for collage work that are made of Teflon. And you say, well, what good is that? Well, it's for sticky papers and tape, etc. So when we get back from the break, I'm going to tell you about that. Don't turn that down. Back in a minute with some artist gift ideas.
All right, you're clear, Elizabeth. Three, two, one, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. We're talking today about some ideas for gifts for the artist in your on your holiday list. And these are some ideas that I had and some ideas that some artist friends of mine had. How about this one? This is kind of a cool gift idea that's not expensive. It's under $40. Non-stick all-purpose scissors. Japanese made Teflon coated scissor blades, guaranteed not to stick to anything. So, for example, if you're cutting tape, lots of times you ball yourself up in a big mess. This cuts right through tape. Not only that, they're symmetrical. So you know how scissors have like a bigger side. Most people are right-handed, so they fit the right-handed folks. Well, these are two, I guess the scissor handles, the eyes are symmetrical. So both right-handers and left-handers can pick these scissors up. Available on Cooper Hewitt, under $40, nonstick all-purpose scissors for artists in your life. How about this? This is a very cool thing. If you've got somebody that is a sketcher and they use colored pencils and pencils, graphite pencils, etc. They do a lot of pencil sketching, and they always have their pencils and their paper with them at all times. A really good pencil sharpener. There's a thing called the secure pencil sharpener. It's a jar with a sharpener on the top of the jar. It's non-spill. It's made in Germany, and the brand name is KUM. And it's available for under $15, also on Blick. And it's a guaranteed non-spill sharpener that has a big receptacle for a lot of shavings. And it's cool looking. It's sort of a retro looking can thing or jar thing. Again, the brand name is KUM, available on Blick. For potters, okay, if you've got a ceramicist in your life, if you've got a woodworker, if you've got anybody who works in mosaics, anybody that uses their hands and gets their hands in the mix. One of my girlfriends who's a ceramicist said she loves this particular hand cream. It's called O'Keefe's Working Hands. And she swears by it. And she says it's easy to use, it's non-greasy. It's at the end of a studio day, she will automatically go to it. O'Keefe's Working Hands, it's $16 for 2 bottles and won't stain. And what's the secret ingredient is paraffin in this. She finds it on Amazon. O'Keefe's Working Hands, etc. We talked about beautiful Japanese style water bowl. If you've got a watercolorist in your life, typically they're going to use like a little thing of Tupperware for their water, an old cottage cheese container, something they can seal up and then take a little bit of water with them, etc. If they do a lot of plein air work. But there's a tradition in Japan, it goes back centuries, of having a beautiful water receptacle, and it also made ceramic. And you can find a number of these actually on a website called Uncommon Goods. And pretty ceramic water bowl for your artist that has a little top to it. Beautiful idea. How about a set of pens for drawing? And there's a pen maker that my dear friend, who is one of these people that makes these intricate little mandalas, pen and ink mandalas. She uses Sakura Pigma, Pigma, micron pens. And they're disposable, they're technical pens, they're permanent, they're fade resistant. So that means if you're doing something that you want to have stick around for a number of years, they're archival material. They're chemically stable, they're run proof, they won't fade, and this is for work that you want to preserve, and they're cheap. There's six of these pens go for $12 on Amazon. Sakura Pigma micron pens. And by the way, if you're listening to me and you're like, I wish I would have written that down, you can always email me and ask me. My email is elizabethappraisals Elizabeth with the Z, appraisals plural at gmail.com. And I've got the list right here. And you can ask me. And how about a pen that combines drawing and 3D printing at the same time? This is so cool. It's a little pen that extrudes a line of heated plastic. And the pen comes with 15 inserts of plastic that it heats up and melts inside this pen. And you can actually create three-dimensional figures with this pen, and also see the pen actually has different colors in there. So you can do 3D printing at the same time you're drawing. It is called a 3-doodler, the number 3 and the word doodler. The 3-doodler create and print pen. And the 3-doodler has its own website called 3-doodler, and it's $80. And it comes with 15 color refills and an activity book, and it's quite interesting. It's large, and you know, you can it shows you on the website how it kind of drips out this plastic material that dries really fast, and you can build things in 3 dimensions with this. Offered by the Academy of Arts that do the Academy Awards. They have a museum shop. They're doing a Ruth Carter paper doll kit. Who's Ruth Carter? She won the Academy Award for costumes for Wakanda. And the movie, and this is a darling little doll. Academy Museum offers it. Ruth Carter paper doll. And Richard says we got to go to quick break. Get back from the break. I've got a few more ideas for your artist on your wish list for holiday season. When we get back from the break, we'll talk a little bit about some wet or dry crayons that a friend of mine uses, made by Karanda Arc. And they're very, very interesting and not expensive at all. So don't turn that dial. Back in a minute.
And you're clear.
Well, look.
All right, here we go. Here we go. I need you back in 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. This is my gift list for artists in your family or friends. A mini silent movie camera, 35 millimeter film camera, very tiny. It is the size of a like a cigarette pack. It's called Lomo Kino Super 35, and its byline is gloriously analog. Says it right there on the little camera. It's $60 on B&H. B&H is a website that's devoted to all things camera. A mini silent movie camera for somebody who, wants that analog look and doesn't, that the phone just doesn't cut it. And it's, obviously there's no sound. Water soluble crayons by Caranda H. Neocolor, it's called, wet or dry. And you can do either wet or dry or combine both of them. Also on Blick, one of my favorite sites for artists. How about a monoprint kit for monoprinting gelatin prints, acrylic paint? Walmart's got a little one, a little kit if you want to try your hand at printing. Here's one that I was considering for my grandson. It's a STEM kit. STEM is, obviously science, et cetera, et cetera. Learning, it's a learning tool. It's called MEL Science. You subscribe, and monthly they'll send art-related or science-related activities to a child from age 5 to 9. And some of the things that was intriguing for me. So my grandson's going to be 5. Make your own paints set. And I think that sounds really cool. You can order, they've got a selection of what you can order each month for the child. It's $180 a year on MEL Science. How about this? This has come up a couple of times. I really like this idea. Thermosensitive ink pens. And you can make your words disappear when you erase them because the increased temperature, that's, the friction of erasing, causes the words to disappear, but they actually reappear similarly. This is called Frixion colors. Frixion is Frixion. Frixion colors, erasable marking pens. Very cool idea. You can put little cryptic notes that no one will see until actually you can put them in the freezer and see them there. Something that I've always wanted and I've never actually bought for myself is a fountain pen. And a pen set, for example, fountain pen manufacturer Sailor makes a beautiful set. Sailor as in sailing a ship, Sailor. They have a beautiful fountain pen set, and they have specific medium-sized nib end, which is for all types of writing. It's called the Sailor Dipton Mini Ink and Dip Pen Set. So it comes with the pen, the nib, the ink, etc. And a very cool website that I discovered called Atlas, like the Atlas, World Atlas Stationers. You remember the old stationery shops used to go in and the smell of the paper and the pens and the inks. You'll get a sense of that. Here's the Uniball Signa DX gel pen. It's waterproof, fade proof, and archival. And this is also the gel pen is actually very much like the monoprinting we were talking about, printing in gelatin. You can get a range of tip sizes. Very interesting what you can create with this pen. It's expensive, but it is for real serious artists who work in gel. And this is Uniball Signo DX gel pen. Finally, a nice fountain pen for everybody. It's called the AL Sport Fountain Pen. It's made by Kaweco, and I can spell that Kaweco. and you can choose from all different colors and nib sizes. Uh, they are a beautiful selection of nibs, so that if you've got a calligrapher in your life, or you've got somebody who really has beautiful handwriting and can use a fountain pen, um, it should be the nib to find for them, perhaps. It is their choice, but there's different selection of nibs you can buy with the pen. Um, and then finally, my thought was, let's say you uh, you anybody in on your list could probably benefit from a beautiful journal, um, a blank book, a pocket-sized journal. And I think you can get journals like we used to get moleskin, for example. Um, they there's special moleskin journals for watercolor. There's special moleskin journal for ink, graphite, for all kinds of different artists. Um, I found a nice one called the Legacy Journal, and it's created especially for pen and ink. So let's say you decide, okay, I'm going to buy somebody a really nice fountain pen and beautiful ink, and there's a site for that called Jet Pens, which you really will enjoy. You pick out a journal that that's as beautiful as the pen. This is a legacy journal created for fountain pens. Um, Rhodia Leatherette journals, and they've been making po- pocket pocket-sized journals since 1934, specifically for fountain pens. And this is called Legacy Journal, created just for fountain pens. And Richard, did you say we have to go to a quick break? Okay, in 2 minutes. So there's also a couple other factors in when you're selecting for an artist. I got to tell you the this idea of getting into a rut with your papers. I have my paints that I like. I have my papers that I like. If I'm a watercolor artist, I only use Arches, let's say a certain type of paper. And I'm suggesting, you know, change it up a little bit. I mean, you'd be surprised what a change of paper might do for an artist's work. And we talked a little bit about that. And I'm going to tell you my top three of the list that I've gathered from all my artist community. My top three is probably number one is the Legion Paper Distributors sample of the best known artist papers. So they've taken their best selection through the year and they've narrowed it down to 10, um, 10 best known samplers. And you can take these, they're pads, 9 by 12-inch pads of different types of high quality paper. And you're going to go to the Legion Paper Distribution website to order these groups of papers. Not expensive, surprisingly, not expensive. We'll go to a quick break, Richard. When we get back from the break, I'm giving you my top one on my list is the paper selection. I've got two more coming when we get back from the break. Don't turn that down.
All right, you're clear. And you'll have about 3 minutes left in the program.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and we're talking about gifts for artists. And what I did for this show was I ran down a couple of my favorite websites, picked out some gifts for a couple of friends and family members who are artists. And I thought, hey, how about a show about this? Because there's so many cool things out there for the artists or the visually talented folks in your life. And I think, we mentioned my top pick was a selection of papers, many different types, offered by Legion Paper Distribution. And you can get all sorts of different types of papers for your artists. And they do a selection. So they're top sellers. My second top pick is the mini silent movie camera. I love this thing. It is $60. And, when you talk about those old home movies, the 35 millimeter film home movie type of thing, this is a tiny little camera you can take anywhere, make your own little movie. And it's different from your cell phone for sure, because on this little camera, the byline says right on this camera, gloriously analog. Indeed, it is. It's Lomo Kino, Lomo Kino Super 35, and it's available at B&H. And then finally, my third favorite on this list is more of a family thing. It's called the Adventure Challenge Family Edition, and it's a book, like a big album. And in this album, you take a challenge and you scratch off like a little window, and behind the window it'll give you a family challenge. And this is something to do as a family or a group of friends, for example. But you scratch off a series of challenges, and then there's a place for you to react to that and to post photos, for example, to do descriptions of who did what. For example, one of the challenges that I saw was they take the family bowling, and whoever just the lowest score wins. Love that challenge. Thanks, Richard.
You're clear.
All right. So I don't know if I'll be, oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Chris Cullen.
I'm Lisa Cullen.
And I'm Leanna Finley.
Our program is called Garden Gossip.
Stay tuned to KZSB Santa Barbara.
I'm Ben Hayes for AM 1290 and FM 96.9. The KZ